There is a massive, invisible fraud being perpetrated against you every single year, and it is costing you far more than just a monthly gym membership. We have been conditioned to believe that the passing of a calendar date holds some mystical power to reset our biology, rewrite our history, and finally unlock the potential we have been suppressing for months. You are told that the new year is a fresh start, a clean slate, a magic portal where the person you were is left behind and the person you want to be suddenly emerges. But if you can sit through the next 10 minutes and understand the one concept I am about to lay out, your view of personal growth, discipline, and success will be shattered forever. This is not a motivational speech. This is an exposé on the psychological mechanism that is keeping you trapped in a cycle of perpetual failure. The New Year's resolution is not a tool for success. It is a carefully constructed scam that your brain uses to trick you into feeling good about doing nothing. We're going to dismantle this lie piece by piece and replace it with a protocol that actually works. Psychologists call this the fresh start effect, but that benign name hides a much darker reality. It is not just a habit loop you are fighting. It is a fundamental flaw in how we are wired to perceive time, causality, and our own agency. You believe that your failure to change is due to a lack of willpower or discipline, but that is exactly what the system wants you to think. The problem is systemic. It is embedded in the very fabric of our culture and our neurology. This isn't just about your productivity or your ability to lose 10 pounds. It is about your identity. Your relationships, your career, your legacy, and your mental health are all being eroded by this invisible force because you are relying on a broken mechanism to drive your evolution. You are outsourcing your transformation to a date on the calendar, and when that date fails to deliver, you internalize it as a personal character defect. But ignoring this problem is no longer an option, because as we dig deeper, the picture gets much darker. The cycle of setting a goal, failing within 3 weeks, and then waiting for the next major date to try again is creating a compounding debt of self-trust. Most people spend their entire lives fighting the symptoms of this. They buy the planners, they hire the coaches, and they make the grand declarations on social media. They never see the root cause because they are too busy looking at the calendar. And that is exactly why they fail. They are treating a symptom with a placebo, and the patient is dying. Here is the data that psychology tries to hide. The painful reality is that your brain is actively working against you in this specific area. It prefers the illusion of progress over actual growth. Studies have shown that simply making a plan to change releases dopamine in the brain, mimicking the feeling of accomplishment. When you make a New Year's resolution, your brain rewards you for the idea of the change, not the execution of it. You are biologically programmed to feel good about the intention, which saps your energy for the implementation. Your brain is an energy-conserving machine, and the resolution is the ultimate energy hack. It lets you feel like a winner without doing the work. The system is rigged. The mechanism is flawed. And you are the victim of your own chemistry. And this explains why the gap between the successful and the unsuccessful is widening. It is not luck. It is not genetics. It is a battle for control over your own mind. The elite performers of the world do not rely on temporal landmarks to dictate their actions. They have bypassed this biological trap. While you are waiting for January 1st to finally get in shape, start that business, or fix your marriage, they are operating on a completely different frequency. They understand the mechanics of the scam. They know that waiting for a date is a form of procrastination disguised as preparation. If you do not identify this mechanism, you will remain in the same cycle next year and the year after until the pattern becomes your life story. Now, let's break down exactly why this mechanism is so effective at destroying your potential. We need to look at this from 3 distinct angles. First, the biological sabotage. Your brain is evolutionarily designed to resist drastic, sudden changes. It views a radical New Year's resolution as a threat to homeostasis. When you suddenly decide to go from 0 gym visits to 5 a week, or from a terrible diet to a strict regimen, you trigger the alarm bells of your amygdala. This ancient part of your brain perceives the increased effort and the removal of comforts as a danger to your survival. It responds by flooding your body with stress hormones like cortisol, which actually inhibits the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for long-term planning and willpower. Biologically, A resolution is a shock to the system, and your body will fight to return to baseline. You are not weak. You are fighting millions of years of evolutionary programming that demands stability over growth. Second, we have the psychological trap, known as temporal discounting. Human beings are hardwired to value immediate rewards far more than future rewards. We prioritize the comfort of now over the health of later. The New Year's resolution tries to brute force this by creating a psychological distance between you now and you then. By setting the goal for the future, you create a disconnect. You think the future you will have more energy, more discipline, and more time than the current you. But when January 1st arrives, you're still the same person with the same flawed psychology. The psychological distance vanishes, and the immediate reality of the effort required clashes with your desire for comfort. Furthermore, we fall into the trap of moral licensing. When you set a noble goal, your subconscious gives you credit for being a good person just for trying. You feel so virtuous about your resolution that you permit yourself to slack off in other areas, often undoing your progress before it even starts. It is a psychological loop that validates procrastination. Third, let's look at the environmental snare. We live in an environment that is perfectly designed to exploit these weaknesses. The industry around self-improvement is built on the cycle of failure and renewed hope. Gyms make their profit on the January influx of people who stop coming in February. They rely on the breakage rate, the percentage of customers who pay but do not show up. The economy is betting against your resolution. Moreover, your immediate environment, your home, your office, and your social circle are optimized for your current habits, not your desired ones. When you try to force a new behavior into an environment that supports the old behavior, you are swimming upstream. You are relying on willpower to override constant environmental triggers. Willpower is a finite resource, like a battery. It drains throughout the day. A resolution assumes you have an infinite supply of this battery. You do not. Common solutions fail because they try to change the output without changing the input. They try to force the behavior without altering the biological, psychological, or environmental context. It is like trying to run a complex modern software on a computer from the 90s. The hardware is not compatible with the software. If you are still watching, it means you are ready for the truth. It means you are tired of the cycle. You are tired of being the person who talks about change but never experiences it. You have seen the dark truth behind the scam. You understand that your brain is addicted to the feeling of planning, that your biology resists shock, and that your environment is rigged against you. This is not a place to despair. This is a place of power. Because now that we have dismantled the problem, we can rebuild the solution. This is where the fight begins. The old way is dead. The calendar is irrelevant. The only thing that matters is the system you build right now. To break this cycle, you need more than motivation. You need a protocol. You need a strategy that bypasses your biological resistance and works with your natural psychology. Here is the 3-step process to rewiring your brain and achieving actual, lasting change. First, you must abandon the outcome goal and adopt the identity threshold. Stop focusing on what you want to have, like losing 20 pounds or making $1 million. Focus on who you want to be, but do not just visualize it. You must prove it to yourself with microactions. If you want to be a runner, do not run 5 miles. Run for 2 minutes. The goal is not the distance. The goal is to cast a vote for your identity. Every time you run for 2 minutes, you tell your brain, I am a runner. This bypasses the amygdala's fear response because the threat is low. You are not shocking the system. You are rewiring it through consistent, low-friction wins. You are building a foundation of self-trust that the resolution scam destroyed. Second, you need to engineer your environment for automation, not reliance on willpower. You must remove the friction from the good habits and increase the friction for the bad ones. If you want to read more, do not rely on willpower to pick up a book. Put the book on your pillow. If you want to stop eating junk food, throw it out. Make it impossible to access. You need to design your physical space so that the default choice is the right choice. When you automate your environment, you free up your cognitive energy for the hard decisions. You stop fighting the war on 10 different fronts. You set up the battlefield so that winning is the path of least resistance. This is how the elite operate. They do not white-knuckle their way through the day. They build systems that make success inevitable. Finally, you must implement the feedback loop of ruthless analysis. You cannot set it and forget it. The resolution scam relies on a binary outcome, success or failure. The protocol relies on data. You need to track your actions, not just your results. If you miss a day, you do not spiral into shame. You analyze the failure. Was it biological fatigue? Was it an environmental trigger? Was it the task too big? You adjust the system. You treat your life like a laboratory experiment. You are the scientist, not the subject. This objectivity removes the emotional weight of failure. A failed data point is just information. It is not a character flaw. By iterating constantly, you evolve. You are not waiting for a new year to start over. You are pivoting in real time. This turns the fear of failure into curiosity, and curiosity is the fuel of growth. The information you have just heard is useless unless you apply it. The world is full of knowledgeable failures. Millions of people know exactly how to diet, how to exercise, and how to build wealth, yet they remain stuck because they never take action. They fall back into the comfort of the scam. Do not be one of them. The choice is yours. You can go back to the Matrix, waiting for the next January 1st to save you, knowing full well it will not. Or you can wake up right now, look at the system that is holding you back, and forge your own reality. The calendar is a lie. The only time that exists is now. Start today.